All right, so systems of inequalities. Let me give you a nice, simple inequality. Do you get this is that x is greater than 4? You guys have seen that before, right? Now, why didn't I say equal to 4? Because it's an open circle. If I made this or equal to 4, I'd have to fill this in then and shade to the right. You know what I mean? That'd be the only difference. All right, how about this one then? Would you please underneath it write what that is? X is what? Less than 3, I would give the kid partial credit. What should it be? Less than or equal to 3. Good job. Why is it or equal? Because it can be 3, and they got it filled in. All right, next, go to this one. Let's make the number line graph and go the other way. X equals 3. We'll put a 3 on here and circle it. Can I be done? No, it's close, though. Do you know what to do? It's really simple. What haven't I done yet? Fill in the circle. A solid dot means it's 3. Now, do I shade in any direction? No, it's just x equals 3. So then how about, what if it was greater than or equal to 3? We'll make the circle, and then, should I fill it in or not? Yeah, and then shade which way? To the right. Greater is to the right. And the last one, everybody do it yourself. Zoom in on it, and I'll tell you if you're right or not. Show me what you think it is. We'll talk later. I'm glad you're here. Just put an empty circle on it. You're really close, but just an empty circle. Because whether the circle's filled in or not, good is key. Yes. Less than means the other way. Yes. 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 Let's see yours. Yes. Did you put a label with a 3? Yes. All right. Empty spot. That way. Do I fill it in or not? No, because it doesn't say or equal. So it can't be 3. Could it be 2.99? Yeah, but it can't be 3. All right. Now, what happens if you graph them and you're in higher algebra and you have to be able to graph them in 2 dimensions? Well, then this is x is less than 1. Just a second ago, it was just a number line. It was like this. Now, all of a sudden, it's like this. Yeah. Let's think about the difference. Do you get at this spot right here, is x less than 1? Yeah, because x is actually -1 right there. And how about at this spot here? Is x less than 1? Yeah. So the whole point is it's x is less than 1 anywhere in that shaded region. How about right on the line itself? On that line, is x less than 1? No, actually x is 1. And so that's a dotted line right there, meaning you can't be on that line. But any other dot, like I'm not going to make you go and make all these dots, but I think you get the point. All of these things, every one of them has an x that is less than 1. Anything in here, but not on the line, because anything on the line would be x is 1. That's why it's a dotted line. Okay. So then, how do you graph a 2-variable inequality? Well, basically, here's an equation. The graph of it is the dotted line, except you got a shade. How do you know which way to shade? If it says greater, you shade above. Doesn't greater kind of seem like above? If I said above this line, doesn't that seem like greater than that line? Okay, good. And if I said less than, that would be below the line. All right. Every line has an above or below, except for one line. There's an infinite number of lines. There's only one of them that doesn't have an above or below, and that's if the line's like this. Do you get if I had that line and I said shade above it, you can't really tell what's above it? Know what I mean? Then I have to choose left or right. So which ones, if I said this is the line x equals 3, but I wanted to say greater than or equal to 3. Now I don't have an above or below. Which way is greater? Right or left? Greater would mean to the right. You know why? Because things that are bigger than 3 are over here, like 4 and 5 and 6. You know what I mean? So greater is above or to the right. And take a wild guess then. If it's less, then it's below or to the what? Left. Less than is below or to the left. Okay? Now, you guys know how to graph a simple line. And if you've forgotten, I'll be reminding you. That's the y-intercept. And then you take the slope, which is right here, which is a 1 over 1, 1 rise over 1 run. And do you get how they were going up and over and up and over and up and over? Know what I'm talking about? That's how you do your simple graphs. And then we just have to shade them. Look at this one. What is the y-intercept of the one that I have focused in on the screen here? What's the y-intercept, sir? 4. So they touched it right here at 4. Okay, that's the y-intercept. Then we have to do the slope. Negative 2 over 1. Negative 2 rise. What the heck does negative 2 rise mean? You tell me? Down 2. And then run of 1 means over 1. See how I got to this spot? Down 2 over 1. Down 2 over 1. Now, how come we shaded to the, well, we shouldn't think left or right. We should think above or below. Remember, every line has an above or below, unless it's straight up and down. So, Tuck, is this shaded below or above?
Below.
Yeah, it's shaded below the line, and that's less than, which makes sense. Do you remember, Luke, what this little equal to does on my graph? This little equal changes one thing on my graph.
It makes the line not dotted.
Yes, this is a solid line because of that or equal to right there. Okay, so this is a typical question. And now we just get to do 3 or 4 of them until you guys kind of get this all figured out. So everybody get to this question. I'm going to do a lot of walking around and checking yours to make sure you're graphing right. Because it's easy to forget how to do this stuff. So let's graph this first one together. What is the y-intercept, Luke? -6. So everybody put a dot at -6. Annika, this negative in front here means that I have a -1 over 1 for my slope. That's rise over run. Most people would be able to tell me that. Can you tell me where to go then from this dot here to make my next dot? Why did you go down 1? Because it's negative. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And you keep kind of, just follow the pattern. You don't have to like be saying to yourself, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. But if, I think you get the pattern there. Should it be solid or dotted? Why? Because it's not or equal to. So I'm going to make mine dotted by erasing some of it out. I will cry a little bit and mark off if you have a solid line where you're supposed to have a dotted one. All right, last question then. I got a line, I just got to shade it. And the only choice is above or below. Corey, looking at this sign right here, what is your best guess? Do you feel like it should be above or below it? Hint, that is a less than sign.
Should be below, right?
Less is below, yep. And shades like that. Okay, now, everybody graph the other one. Hint, you'll start here at -2. And then you'll go somewhere, rise and run, right, for that slope. And then you'll have to shade either above it or below it. And it's where all the shading overlaps. I'm going to pause for a minute while I walk around and check these. Everybody, you're graphing the other one now on the same axes. Okay, so here's our final answer on that one, the double shaded region right there. All right. All right, on this one, yeah, okay, so I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to graph this one. Y is greater than that line. All right, so I'm going to graph and start at the 2 and put a dot and go rise 3, run 1, rise 3, run 1. And then I just kind of extend the line out and go, okay, so now I'm going to go down 3 and over 1, down 3 and over 1 to keep my line going straight, right? Okay, now y is greater than that means above that. How many of you guys got that much right so far? Okay, good. Now let's do the other one. This one was actually nice from the beginning. I could just start right at 6, and I'm putting a red dot at 6. You don't have to use red, but I'm using red. And then, what the heck is a negative slope? Well, it's a -1/1, which is a rise over a run. So it goes down 1/1, down 1/1, down 1/1, down 1 and over 1, down 1 and over 1. I think you've got the idea. And now, should I shade above it or below it? It says less than. Does that feel like below or above? Less than. Below it. And now I just like to shade a little bit. Some of you guys really like to shade the whole thing in. I think it's honestly easier to try to figure out where they overlap by just shading a little bit on the side of the line. And now can you see where they both overlap? I can see that it's in here that they get double shaded. And then I use a different color to do my final double shade. All right, so I just have one last thing to talk about. What if there's just one letter? How in the heck do you just do X? Well, find one spot where X is -5. Just look for X is -5. I hope you know this is the X-axis, and where X is -5 would be right there. That's where X is -5. Now, is X -5 in some other places? Yeah, these are all places where X is -5. So it's a line that goes straight up and down. I warned you about that kind of line because you can't shade above it or below it. You got to decide whether we shade to the right or the left of that line. But thankfully, this is kind of intuitive. Most people are going to guess right. When I say it's bigger than -5 or greater than -5, most kids are going to know that this way would be greater. How many of you guessed right on that one? Okay, good. So that's this one. How about, I'm using a blue line, how about this one? I got to solve it, you're right. I'm subtracting 2x from both sides. And I have -y is greater than -2x plus 3. Then I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative. And do you remember that that switches the sign around? And it changes all the signs to opposite. Like it was -2x, now it's +2x. It was +3, now it's -3. And it was greater, and now it's less than. See how everything switched to opposite day? Okay, now I'm going to graph that. You graph that. See where they cross. This is the last one we're doing. We'll skip the very last one on the slide. Do you know where to start this graph? The 2 or the -3? The -3. Everybody start right there and try to figure out where the slope goes from there. The slope will tell you where to rise and run. I'm gonna pause for a sec while I help a kid. Okay, let me just finish this one thought and I'll come back. All right, so this, I'm gonna graph slope 2. So I'm gonna see rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1, rise 2, run 1. And then I'm gonna draw it like that. And then, oh wait, it's not supposed to be a solid line. Crap. It's supposed to be a dotted line. How many of you guys noticed that? Raise your hand if you remembered it was a dotted line. Nice job, you beat the teacher on that one. Okay, now I got a shade either below it or above it. And I look at this symbol right here, and it says less than. Does that feel like below or above? Below. So then I'm gonna shade down here. And this one's kind of tricky because it goes off the screen. I'm gonna just extend my blue line out further. And my dotted red line out further. And what part gets double shaded? I'm just going to extend my shading then a little further. And my red shading goes out like this. And the area that gets double shaded is in here. And I guess I can just extend it like this. All of that area is double shaded. This area is not double shaded. This is not shaded at all. This is not double shaded because it's only single shaded. Only that last place out here is where it got double shaded. So that's my final answer. Okay, I know these can be tricky, and I know you guys have had 9 days off of math. This is where it's really important that during our last few minutes, 15 minutes to be exact, 15-minute alarm going off, in your last 15 minutes that you try these problems. I'm only assigning the first 3. Why? Well, because I want to keep it a reasonable size so you have no excuse. If you don't do it, it's just because you're not trying. Okay? Giving only 3 homework problems. Problems 1, 2, and 3. Do them, Dropbox them, and if you aren't, that means I'm just not trying. Okay? And if you need my help, please come up and ask. I'm totally willing to help you. And maybe after I help you on one, you'll feel like totally fixed and better and like I get this now. And maybe not. Maybe you got to come up and ask me on another one. All right? But this is your time to work.